Hey everyone, it's Brent back again from BC Dubs, bringing you folks hopefully another watchable video today. Today is a special treat. We're going to do a vinyl tag in today's video. It's been a while since I've done a vinyl tag. I think they're fun. In the past, I have done them that other people have created, and I saw them and was not tagged, but saw the tag and did it. If you don't know what a vinyl tag is, it is a list created by an individual. In this case, me. I created this particular list. This is an original vinyl tag created by me. Hopefully it will carry on in the ethers of YouTube and other people will pick up on it and do a vinyl tag as well. The questions will be in the description below, as well as, obviously here in this video. But I created this list. All you old head vinyl collectors that are out there, let me know if it was decent or not decent. Please let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to grow this vinyl community of my own. I'm new to vinyl record collecting. I'm not new to music collecting, as you can see. I have plenty of CDs and plenty of music. I started listening to music really hard in about 1989, and then my area, my genre was the music of the 90s and the early 2000s. Is when I really cut my teeth on music. But I do go back and listen to all the greats, and I get to rediscover bands that were out way before my time, and it's like finding a new band for me. It's like hearing new music for the very first time, and some of those artists will be in this vinyl tag here in this video. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, these vinyl tags and vinyl record collecting and music talk in general, please feel free, smash that like button. The more likes this video gets, the more to go in front of other people to help, expand this tag that we're doing today. But without further ado, let's get right into this vinyl tag. As always, I have my two window albums up there in the window. First one to guess what those are, put it in the comments below and I will pin your comment up top. As always, we'll listen to some music real low in the background. I know you folks may not be able to hear it, or the microphone may not pick it up, but this is Our Lady Peace is what we're listening to on CD. Happiness is Not a Fish That You Can Catch, a fantastic album from one of my favorite bands, Our Lady Peace. So, that being said, this is a 15 question vinyl tag, and we'll get right in at number one. And number one is, now let me put a little preface on something. This is a vinyl tag of questions that I created. And there is some better music out there than what I'm going to bring in this vinyl tag, but this is a vinyl tag. If I was doing a CD tag, this list would be way, way better and way more on point. But I don't have, obviously vinyls of all these CDs. And besides, most of these CDs are from, 90 to 2010. And they weren't making a lot of records then. And to go back and get all these original would be absolutely outrageous. But in time, that's my goal and my hope, is to get these CDs on record. And doing this vinyl tag, another thing, I like to collect, but I was going through, when I first started out, I was just gobbling up anything that was rock and roll from back in the day, or anything like that. And I've got a ton of records in my collection that I really don't like or would never listen to. So I pulled some of those out. I'm going to go donate those at my local record store tomorrow. I'm not going to sell them. I'm going to donate them. Anyway, that's enough rambling out of me. First question is the best sounding production album. I got my list here if you wonder what I'm looking at. Best sounding / production album that's in my collection. And I could have chose a few, but the one that I went with that I had that's the best sounding production is Bush Razor Blade Suitcase. This particular sound on this record right here is crystal clear. The original album, Razor Blade Suitcase, let me take the sleeve off. This is it right here. This is a 2017 reissue of this album. I love that matte finish that they have here in the gatefold. And just give you guys a sneak peek here at this record. It's on this cool, let me take it out, the glare. It's on this super cool black and brown and white marble finish that it has on here, but it sounds really, really good. And the production on it, it sounds really, really tight. It's really precise, crystal clean. The drum work on this record is really good. Gavin Rossdale's guitar work obviously is really, really good. And also, the record in general, Bush Razor Blade Suitcase, is a really, really good record with songs like Greedy Fly and Swallowed on here. Cold Contagious, Mouth. Just a great album, man. I love this album. As a matter of fact, when I'm done with this vinyl tag, I haven't heard it in a while. I think I'll let it spin. Second, an album that takes you back to a better time. In other words, what's an album that you have in your collection that when you put it on, or you're driving down the road and you hear it come on, or on the radio or whatever, just instantly takes you back to a place where everything was carefree. You didn't have a concern in the world, probably because you were living at home and mom and dad were paying all the bills and you were just hanging out with your friends and having a good time every day. What album is in your collection that reminds you of that? When you was a kid, when you were driving down the road and you were blaring out, screaming out the windows. And for me, that album is none other than Our Lady Peace, Clumsy. Now, for the purposes of the vinyl tag, it is Our Lady Peace, Clumsy. This is one of my vinyls that I have that takes me back to that place. Now, I have a bunch of CDs that I could say that takes me back to that place. For example, let me just look over here. There's a Pearl Jam Yield album. There's one right there that could take me back to that place. But yeah, for the purpose of this video, a vinyl that I do have that I could put on, it takes me back to that place, is Our Lady Peace, Clumsy. I've talked about this album very many times on my channel. This is one of my favorite records of all time from one of my favorite bands of all time. And this is a great copy of this record. This is there's only 500 copies of this particular marbling done. And this copy, let me see if I can see it. I can't see it right now, but it's like copy number 300 or something out of 500. Super happy to have that in my collection. Best album of the 2020s. Best rock album of the 2020s. I picked Metallica. Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Just a fantastic record. It was good to hear a nice clean record. The production on this record is really, really good. Death Magnetic is a great record by Metallica, the predecessor to this record. But it was recorded really loud. The drum sounds really loud on that particular record, like a lot of Metallica records. But I am, Metallica obviously is my favorite band of all time. But yeah, man, Hardwired, Atlas Rise, one of my favorite songs. Now That We're Dead, Confusion, Spit Out the Bone was an ode to true form by Metallica. So the best record that I have from the 2020s thus far is Hardwired to Self-Destruct by Metallica. Best new pickup. Now, I picked this up actually about 6 months ago, but to me, it's still the best pickup that I've made in the last 6 months. And this is Vandalizer by Budgie. Some really cool album art on this record. Budgie, Vandalizer. This album will take you on a journey, man. Love Budgie. Anytime my boys Metallica thought that one of your songs was good enough to cover it, and that's how I found out about Budgie with, I think it was Bread Fan was their song that they covered, which is not on this particular album, by the way, but this is one of the best pickups that I've got in the last 6 months. Budgie, Vandalizer. Yeah, love this record. If you haven't heard it, listen to it on YouTube or whatever. It's a great album. It'll take you on a trip, man. I'm serious. Album that gets you motivated when you need to get something done. If you need some music in the background where you got something you need to work on. Maybe you need to clean the house. Maybe you need to put something in your ears while you're mowing the grass. Maybe there's a project you need to get done. Whatever the case may be, fill in the blank. And for me, that album is Creed, Human Clay. Yes, dad rock. I know it's dad rock. Well, I'm a dad. And this album right here is Creed, Human Clay. And I'm telling you right now, If you can't go at 2x the speed while you're doing whatever you're doing after listening to this record, there's something wrong with you. Creed and Clay is a fantastic album to play in the background while you need a little motivation, a little pick-me-up while you're getting the work done. And I had the privilege, as many of you know that have seen my channel, to go and see Creed in their Summer '99 tour about 3 months ago now in Tampa at the Mid-Florida Amphitheater. And I'm telling you, man, it was Creed and Three Doors Down. I think Train was on there. Anyway, I didn't watch any Train. Train opened up for Three Doors Down, and then Creed was the headliner. But I have some footage of this concert in my feed. Go back and check it out. But this was just an incredible show, and it did not disappoint. A true bucket list album for me was getting to go see these guys. And see, it's putting a smile on my face right now just thinking about it. I never thought I'd get the opportunity. Creed was coming up in, the 90s, and I was growing up in South Alabama, and they just never came, they're not going to come to South Alabama. So, and then they broke up, as fast as they came out, they were done, and never thought I'd get a chance to see them, but I did, man. And Scott Stapp, Mark Tremonti, and the boys, they did not disappoint. It was a fantastic concert. Every time they come to Tampa, if they come back, I'm going. Every time. Next up, best hair metal album that you own. Well, easy enough for me. Oh, dropped my list. Sorry, excuse me. I'm back. Best hair metal album that you own for me is Cinderella. This is an original copy of Cinderella Night Songs. Killer record here, man. Yeah, killer record here. Now, this particular copy was not cheap. It's a original copy with the original sleeve. I think I paid, let's say, like $45 for this, but it was worth every penny to have this original copy. Let's take it out and take a look at it. I haven't looked at it in a while. Oh yeah, it does not have the inner sleeve. Does not have the inner sleeve, but it's on that Mercury label, as you can see. Would like to have a copy with the inner sleeve, but the outer jacket's in really good shape. The record is phenomenal. There's not even a finger mark on this album. I hated hair metal growing up. I was all about, Metallica and Megadeath, which we'll get into toward the end of this video. Typo Negative, Nine Inch Nails, bands like that. So I just hated hair metal. But it's funny, the older I get and in search for music that I haven't listened to, I find myself going back to a lot of these older hair metal bands that I never gave a nod to, like Rat and Poison and Cinderella and Dokken and bands like that. Because it's good music, man. It really is good music. And Cinderella, this particular album right here, because I never gave it a chance, was closer to thrash metal and heavy metal than it was hair metal. To me, musically, sonically, it was. Obviously, the texture of the songs and what the songs were about was more on the hair metal side, with, songs about women and love and all that and pop. But sonically, it was metal. And it was good. And I like this album. One of my favorite albums that I bought this year. Number 7, Best Singer-Songwriter Album. Now, I chose Van Morrison, Astral Weeks. This is just an awesome record. This is definitely one that I'll put on and let play in the background. I've listened to this album probably 15, 20 times since I purchased it. Never really, another artist that I never really gave a nod growing up as, a metalhead or whatever, hard rock guy. But like I say, you get older and your taste changes. And this album right here, Van Morrison, Gordon Lightfoot, guys like that, helps me to really appreciate the singer-songwriter and how much actually work goes into making a beautiful song. And this whole album is beautiful to me. So for my, what's the best singer-songwriter album that I have? It was Van Morrison, Astral Weeks. This album came out, I want to say 61 or 59, something like that, way early on. Van Morrison has a lot of albums out. This is one of his very first ones. I could have also thrown in Gordon Lightfoot in there, which I do have a Gordon Lightfoot greatest hits album. Love Gordon Lightfoot as well. But for the purposes of this vinyl tag, I chose Van Morrison, Astral Weeks, for my best singer-songwriter album. Best 80s vocals, I say I put vocals, but you can say vocalist to me, and for rock, and that's going to be Bret Michaels' Poison. This obviously is a greatest hits record. I don't have Open Up and Say Ah or any of those records by Poison. I will buy them if they come available. But for the meantime, this is a great one. I mean, this has nothing but a good time. Talk Dirty to Me, Unskinny Bop, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, Ride the Wind, Look What the Cat Dragged In. So a lot of good stuff on this particular record. Poison, Bret Michaels' vocals match the music that they're playing. And for me, so much of that, the lyrically and sonically from the vocals needs to match the music that I'm hearing from my speakers. So many times you'll hear a band that's got some killer music, killer drums, killer guitar, and then the guys start singing, you're like, man, that does just not go together. And I want to go back to a question about singer-songwriter stuff, and I want to say, we talked about Van Morrison, Astral Weeks, and singer-songwriter, how I grew up a metalhead and everything else, but then I told you at the beginning of the video, we were listening to Our Lady Peace, which is some of the best singer-songwriter music out there. So if it wasn't for guys like Van Morrison and Gordon Lightfoot and guys like that, we wouldn't have bands like this. Now, I'm sure Our Lady Peace would tell you that they're not a singer-songwriter band, but I know that most of the lyrics from this band comes from Rain's heart and from a good place. So, yeah, love Our Lady Peace, love Van Morrison, love Bret Michaels as my best 80s vocalist from the 80s. And I'm sure I'll catch some flack for that, but this is a vinyl tag. So feel free to make your own with this list, and I can't wait to see them and watch the other videos. So most authentic / raw album that I have, that's a true emotional album where nothing's been held back. There's no secrets in the lyrics. So for you to guess what the singer is putting out there. And this is a new pickup for me, but an older album that I always had, but a new vinyl pickup for me. And this is Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies. I put this in one of my videos from last night, but this is Alice in Chains, Jar of Flies. And with songs like Rotten Apple, Nutshell, I Stay Away, No Excuses, Well and Lost, Don't Follow. Man, you could hear the raw emotion and the long suffering of Lane Staley in this record more than any other record that he ever wrote, I believe. This and Dirt. I mean, obviously you have Facelift and Jar of Fly, and Sap and Grind. But this one right here, true, raw, emotional record by Lane Staley. One of the best Alice in Chains records, period. Love, 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 love this album. Most inspired album. So an album that I felt like the singer really wanted to get off his chest what he was feeling, and something that you can relate to as you're listening to it, depending on the mood, of course, because music is subjective. So depending on any mood that you're in, you may want to say, turn that crap off or turn that crap up. And for me, and this album pops up a lot in my music videos, but it must just be a fantastic album because it just keeps popping up. And this is Counting Crows, August and Everything After. I've showed this a million times. This whole album feels inspired. You can feel the emotions on this record from the lead singer here, Adam, I believe is his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I mean, Round Here, Omaha, Perfect Blue Buildings, Asleep in perfect blue buildings, a long green apple. See, man, come on, dude. Fantastic lyrical album. That's why that album gets my number one most inspired album is the Counting Crows, August and Everything After. Okay, number 11. Best breakthrough album that I own. Now, this is, like I say, I want to keep prefacing this. that I own on vinyl. I have a lot of other music on CD and everything else, but I've only been collecting vinyls now for seriously 2 years. I mean, I had some records about 3 or 4 years ago, but seriously about 2 years. So I have a small sample size that I can work with. I got about 160 records here. Out of 160 of them, I'd say 45 of them are garbage that I'll end up selling to get better records. But anyway, I digress. Best breakthrough album that I own for a band has got to be, this is an original Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. I mean, we know what this album started for Motley Crue on Elektra Records. And just for the purposes, you know, there it is, the original. But Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love, which debuted, I think, like number 77 on the Billboard charts, but yet, and then they had an ascension all the way up to Dr. Feelgood, which debuted at number 1 and on the Billboard charts, and they just never really looked back from there. But yeah, I mean, this album broke this band through, broke hair metal through the mainstream. I mean, they really are the godfathers of that genre, and brought everything to the mainstream. Couldn't stand Motley Crue growing up. They were the epitome of what I didn't like about music and everything else. And I gotta be honest, still not my favorite band. I mean, I'd rather take that Cinderella Night Songs album or Poison over Motley Crue, but to each their own. But yeah, you can't deny what they did for music and hard rock and hair metal. So the best breakthrough album that I own, Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. Worst hair metal album of the 80s that I own. By far, Bronze. I mean, look at these guys. We have Zebra, we have Leopard, we have our tiger, leopard, zebra. We got some more zebra. I mean, this is just, I don't know what this is. You know, this is a perfect example of picking up an album based on the album art. You know, with the skeleton riding in the sky with the damsel in distress with the lightning bolts, thinking, you know what? I'll risk, what did I pay for this record? I think it was $9. I'll risk $9, take this home and give it a listen just because I like the album art. Still got the seal on it. You know why it's still got the seal on it? Now, it's been broken, but the shrink is still on the record. Because it's horrible. It is a horrible record. It's not a knock on the guys from Bronze, but I mean, it's like they didn't know who they wanted to be. Lead singer sounds like Styx. You got guitars trying to play metal. Kicks in with keyboards. I mean, it's just all over the place. The song choices and titles are just trash. Send Down an Angel, Heat of the Night, The Cold Truth, Night Runner, Taken by Storm, Sweet Lady, Harder Than a Diamond. Do any of those guys look harder than a diamond? Come on. Worst by far 80s metal, hair metal album that I have. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, when I first started collecting, I was gobbling up anything I could. It was at a decent price so I can let it spin on my record player because I was like a kid in a candy store. And I got about 30 or 40 of these records that I need to get rid of. Now, I'm not going to give those records away. I do have a stack of 4 or 5 I'm going to give to a lady at my local record store. But I'm going to gather about 30 or 40 of those, see if I can get a bulk rate and get one really good, fantastic album that I've been wanting to get. That's my plan. So, there it is. Bronze gets the worst metal album of the 80s. Better metal band, Metallica or Megadeath. Okay. Bear with me here. Best metal album of all time, Ride the Lightning. Period. my opinion. You won't sway me from that. I put this album and listen to this album more than any other metal album I've ever listened to. To me, this is the best metal album of our time, all time. Ride the Lightning by Metallica. Around the same time, Megadeth came out with, and this is an original copy, so I'm glad to have it. This is on Combat Records. This is Megadeth, P Cells Who's Buying, and let's be honest, the Kill 'Em All album has better production on it than this record here. This album just sounds, it's got great work on it. It's great work, great guitar work, and everything else, but the production's horrible on this record. So, you know, I don't know on that. But then, as you get later on, we're talking about into the 2010s, you get albums from Megadeth like this. Let me get this out. Like this, which is their picture disc for Dystopia, which is super cool. Doesn't sound great because it's a picture disc, but I have it on CD as well. So that Megadeth Dystopia album is a killer metal album. And then, of course, you know, the newest release, which is Metallica 72 Seasons. And I'm not and I'm not going to go through all the records and album by Metallica and Megadeth, but I will tell you this. There's been a lot more consistency through the years with this band, Metallica, than there has been with this band right here, Megadeth. And I think that's the thing, is that other than a few outliers like Saint Anger, which was a try to get True back to form, Metallica's been pretty consistent. They've gradually changed their sound, but it hasn't been sudden. And it changed with the Black Album, which was a sudden sound change from And Justice for All through Kill 'Em All. But then after that, it's been just a gradual change or sound. And now we're kind of going a little bit like this with Metallica, to the point where they're going to plateau where they're at, and that's where they're at today with like 72 Seasons. Megadeth has put out a ton of bad records and a few good records. So to me, by far, Metallica, where you at right there, best band of all time, heavy metal band of all time, in my opinion, always will be. There'll never be a debate. Now, I will say this, Dave Mustaine is a fantastic guitar player, period. Can't knock him. Hetfield's a better singer. Hetfield's a better rhythm guitar player than Mustaine, but Mustaine is a better lead guitar player than Kirk Hammett. So who knows where Metallica would have been if we'd have had Hetfield, Ulrich, Burton, and Mustaine, and they could have worked out their issues, and we just would have had all that songwriting ability. Because Hammett and Newsted, and then Hammett and Trujillo really just don't offer a lot to the band for songwriting. But Mustaine did, and Cliff Burton did. So R.I.P. Cliff Burton. But Metallica is the better band there. Favorite artist, and number 14 is favorite artist discovered. Now, like I said, a lot of my discoveries in music today are going back in time, back into the late 60s and to the early 70s. And that's kind of that niche that I like to try to be in, because there's a lot of great music from that 67 to 74 range. A lot of music's hard to get your hands on. A lot of hard rock, hard to get your hands on from that range. But one of the best bands that I found from that era is none other than Wishbone Ash. I've talked about this record many, many times on my channel as well. I have 4 other albums now. It started with this one right here. This is their first album. And who'd have known at the time? I had no idea. Was at the record store, saw this record, listened to a little bit of it on YouTube on my phone, which I often do. Took it home and let it play, and then I started researching Wishbone Ash, and who'd have known that they influenced bands like Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax, Opeth, and bands like that. I had no idea. It makes sense now when I listen to them and I hear my boys in Metallica. But Wishbone Ash, best band that I found or discovered in the last year. New to me, old to you probably. Favorite 70s album. This is last but not least, and this was, you know, I got an honorable mention. Honorable mention is going to be Rush. Rush. It's the original copy of this record. Great record. One of my favorite Rush songs, which is Working Man. Completely different sounding from any other Rush record. This is more of a hard rock record to me. Love this album. This is a great record, Rush. But this is not my choice. My choice for best 70s album is 1976's Boston. This whole album is killer, no filler. Every song on this record is great, very well produced, very well written, sounds fantastic. Love this record. Boston, my favorite album from the 70s that I have in my collection. So, well, that's it. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this vinyl tag. I hope I did vinyl tagging some justice. I hope this video carries down the line to other vinyl enthusiasts like myself, and they pick up on this vinyl tag. So tag your it, and we'll see you on the next one.